Good afternoon, everyone. Virgo here. It is July 9th, 2019, and this is a small little lesson in how misinformation works. So we're experiencing this a lot from alternate sides, both sides of the political parties currently. It happens every time that an election is coming up. Now, this video is not about anything having to do with political parties. But I'm going to use this as an example because I found this to be quite humorous because it's such a great example of how misinformation campaigns begin. They begin with small, slipped in little innuendos that make people who read whatever or watch whatever video it is, read whatever article it is, whatever comment it is, into a situation so that it breeds some form of mistrust from the opposing side. Now, as you guys know, there are many in the sovereign citizen movement, in the con artists, or of con artists that are subscribing to the sovereign citizen ideology, particularly about these secret accounts that don't exist, because I have spent the last almost 3 years now debunking them. And as a result of that, there are a lot of really irritated people because it cuts in to their bottom line. It cuts into their pocket. So what I found today, because a subscriber actually sent me some screenshots of a conversation that was taking place on another channel that happens to be a con artist channel. This particular party was making a comment. Now let's just briefly go over this particular party here so that we know what he is all about. So here is his name, okay, and he makes videos about guns, and they're all about guns, literally. Almost all of them are about guns, and there's nothing wrong with that, provided that you take special precaution in your videos to ensure safety, of course, for those that are watching it. And I go over to the about section of this party, who has made specific comments, and I always do this because I want to read what it is that they are about. And he says, just a gun guy with honest opinions. So I go back to the screenshots and I realize, well, this party is not exactly honest. And here's where the misinformation campaign comes in. So you see, this is actually the same person. See, it's the same party right here. And he makes a comment on this con artist's video that says, taking a page out of the Virgo Triad book, I see. She wanted money for access to her plan. You want money for yours now. Different approach, same results. Watch out, y'all. I've tried it, and the shit don't work. Well, number one, I've never done any kind of redemption plan. I've spoken out about it for almost 3 years now. But what is more interesting is that someone asks a question, what plan was Virgo selling? Because of course you guys know, I've never sold any plan. Not prior to making these videos. The only thing that was on my channel were children's videos for my grandchildren, which you can go back to, I don't know, almost 3 years ago, and you can see in some of my videos where I've addressed the question of the fact that I didn't have any content up other than children's videos. So then he goes on to explain to this person, a couple years ago, she was selling bundles of forms that had to do with UCC1. Everyone was on board until Hat J got arrested for it, allegedly. I personally think she got her money. However, she got it and fled, rather, the country. And they just put on a show to deter others from doing it. Okay, so this is doing several things. This is, number one, linking me to Heather Antucci, which in reality, if we take a look at Heather, the only person besides Randall Keith Bean and BZ Rigger that puts up her information that's actually at all hooked or linked up to Heather shows up in Knox News, where it says Tucci Giraffe, a one-time attorney and prosecutor, had promoted the Harvey Dent video as proof of her claim that she and One People's Public Trust, a sovereign citizen group, had foreclosed on the federal government, rendering all government agencies null and void. The only link with Heather is actually Harvey. But this also attempts to link me to selling UCC1 forms, which of course never occurred. I've done nothing but tell you guys what those forms are and that they cannot be used for this purpose. But what they're hoping, this is what's called a misinformation type of campaign. And what they're hoping will happen here is that people like this person who asked the question of what was I selling will buy into this lie. And although they can go back and they can see that I've been making videos for over 2 years at this point that all have to do with debunking this hogwash, they are hoping it'll put doubt in people that are on this con artist's website or this con artist channel, so they won't go and listen to what I have to say. They are linking up me with anything that is ugly. Fled the country and all this other garbage. And then, of course, the throw-in here of supposedly Heather Antucci getting arrested for it, allegedly. We all know that Heather Antucci is in prison. I have called the prison. You have heard the employee of the prison confirm that she's in the prison. But this is an example, a really, really good example of how misinformation and smear campaigns begin. Now, these things I don't normally concern myself with because generally this is a situation that occurs on a daily basis on many, many channels. Almost all of the so-called Moors channels, on many of the Sovereign Citizen channels, and of course those that I debunk and expose, it occurs on their channels all the time. But this one bothered me in particular, or it wasn't as much that it bothered me as much as it was that I found funny because of the fact that when I looked up this person, the main claim that they have on their channel, besides the fact that they love guns, is that they have honest opinions. It just goes to show you, folks, you cannot trust anyone, and I would never ask you to. You need to look up for yourself. That's why I put the links in all of the videos. You need to look up for yourself what it is that someone's telling you and verify that it is correct and true. Because if you don't, the misinformation that is currently out there on everything from something as simple as this to something as big as who you might vote for in the next election is going to be very difficult for you to weed through if you don't do your own research. So I would suggest that everybody just take this for what it is, as a good example of what misinformation can actually create, even on a very, very small level like this is. Because you're going to be seeing this more and more and more as time goes on and we build up to going into those voting booths. All right, everybody, I just wanted to put my 2 cents in with regards to this. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to look at the article that I pulled up. But once again, this is mainly just for the purpose of showing you guys how a misinformation campaign starts. Take care.